Do you get overwhelmed with information online? Or do you struggle to even find information relevant for Malaysians? If so, this series will be your answer. Get actionable insights through our personal finance book summary. Today's book summary is brought to you by More Money Malaysia. Forget retirement. Do you even know how much you need in order to do what you want in the next 5 years? By going through the Financial Roadmap program, you will discover your number and be given the path to get there. Find out your number today at moremoney.my. 7 baby steps to a total money makeover. Now we're on to the practical steps. Know that it might take a few years until you get to that last step, but once you get there, the freedom will be worth it. These are called baby steps because you will have to learn to walk before you can run. If you try to do everything at once, progress will be slower and you will be frustrated with yourself. The key is focused intensity. With that said, let's go through the 7 baby steps to a total money makeover. Step 1. Save $1,000 fast. The last thing you want to do is get into more debt during an emergency. What they found is that people would stop their total money makeover because of an emergency. Their car would break down and the $300 repair would have to go on the credit card since they didn't have an emergency fund. Then comes the guilt and discouragement, and then they would lose momentum on their debt reduction process altogether. That's why the first step is to build an emergency fund as quickly as possible. Don't rely on your credit card to bail yourself out in times of crisis. Do whatever it takes. Work extra hours, have a garage sale, whatever. Keep this money in a convenient place, but not where you'll be tempted to spend it. Don't put it in a checking account or an investment. This emergency fund will give you some buffer against the elements. Step 2. Pay off your debt snowball. It's easy to build your wealth when you don't have any debt, so get rid of it. The debt snowball method involves 2 steps: listing all your debts in order of the smallest balance to largest, except your home, and start paying off in that order. Getting some quick wins will get the snowball rolling and give you the momentum to keep going. To make the step work, you need a budget, you need to sacrifice, and you need to focus intensity. Stop borrowing and only spend what you can afford. Yes, it will require a lot of resolve, but as the saying goes, you can't get out of a hole by digging out of the bottom. This is as much of a mindset overhaul as a money one. Having focused intensity means telling yourself, to the exclusion of virtually everything else, I'm getting out of debt. It means knowing where you're going and doing whatever it takes to get there. According to Dave, the average person can get debt-free, except for their home, in 18 months if they have focused intensity. Maybe this means selling your car or working overtime for a few months. Not counting your home, if you can't be debt-free on an item in 18 to 20 months, sell it. Unless you have payments above 45% of your monthly take-home pay, don't sell your house because the house is usually not the problem. Getting rid of your debt would free up your income, which is their most powerful wealth-building tool. So unless you're in deep hole and would need a few years to work off your debt, you should do as much as possible to get debt-free. Lastly, if you use your $1,000 emergency fund during this process, make sure to replenish it before getting back to your debt snowball. Step 3. Finish the emergency fund. The next step is get back to building your emergency fund. 78% of us will have a major unexpected event within the next 10 years. You need to prepare for it so that if, say, you lose your job, you can bounce back relatively quickly. A full emergency fund covers 3 to 6 months of expenses. Customize your emergency fund to your situation. For example, if you have a steady long-term job, maybe 3 months of expenses will be enough in your fund. Get real clear on what is an emergency to you and your family. Emergencies can include medical bills, paying insurance deductibles after an accident, a blown car engine, and so on. Don't dip into your emergency fund for something that you should be saving up to buy. Keep your emergency fund liquid, not in a unit trust or fixed deposit that would incur penalty charges if you cash out early. A way to go about this is to put it in a money market account with check writing abilities and no penalties. The priority here isn't to make money, that'll be in the next step. Keep in mind that an emergency fund is for actual emergencies, but it also is for your peace of mind. Having it in place will serve you from significant stress in the future. Step 4. Invest 15% of your income in retirement. The next step is to help you get financially healthy for the rest of your life. It's not enough to live debt-free for now. Most people today are not setting aside enough for their retirement fund. Don't be like them, whatever age you are at. If you have done the first 3 steps, it's time to put 15% of your gross income into smart investments. The 15% you invest should take advantage of any tax advantages you can get. For Malaysians who are employed, don't count employer contributions in your EPF in this 15%. Along with retirement funds, an important part of this step is to invest in your growth stock mutual funds, which throughout history have averaged just below 12% return. Dave spreads his retirement investing evenly across 4 different types: growth and income funds, which is large caps, blue chip funds; growth funds, mid caps or equity funds, S&P index funds; international funds, which are overseas or foreign funds; and aggressive growth funds, which are typically your small caps and emerging market funds. Select unit trusts or mutual funds that have a good track record of winning for more than 5 to 10 years. Mutual funds go up and down in value in the short term, so we're looking at long-term investing here. This step should ensure that once you retire, you can live comfortably off 8% of your retirement fund every year. Step 5. Save for your child's university. The sequence of these steps is intentional. If you save for college before your emergency fund, you'll dip into the university fund when you get laid off or if you're hit with an unexpected expense. But now you're debt-free, except for the house. You've gotten around 10,000 in savings and you've set yourself up for a great retirement. So it's time to talk education. A university degree doesn't ensure a solid job or success, but almost everyone would agree that education is important to get ahead. There are 2 rules in this step: pay cash, and if you have the cash or scholarship, go. Whether it's for you or your children, avoid student loans. Don't buy into the myth that you can't be a student without loans. Start saving, do your research on costs and scholarships available, and make plans to avoid borrowing. If you don't have enough in your budget, don't panic. With whatever you have been able to save, all your kids will have to do is make a few lifestyle adjustments or do some part-time work and learn some good lessons along the way. Step 6. Pay off your home mortgage. It's not about self-control and total discipline. It's about putting systems in place so you can succeed and make smart decisions. It's the same with your mortgage. Dave recommends that you pay for your house with 100% cash from the get-go. If that's not possible, make sure you never take more than 15-year fixed rate on your house and that your payments are less than 25% of your take-home pay. Don't take a 30-year mortgage. Sure, it stretches out the payments, but you'll find other ways to spend that money in the meantime. Imagine what it will feel like to have your mortgage paid off. And if you're thinking of keeping a low rate mortgage so you can invest at a higher rate, after you factor in your investment returns and factor the additional risk that a mortgage debt brings, it's not worth it. Getting debt-free as quickly as possible will benefit you in the long term. Step 7. Build wealth like crazy. The love of money, not money, is the root of all evil. Now that you're debt-free and have financial freedom, you can build your wealth until you reach your pinnacle point, where your money makes more than you do. You are wealthy when you can live on your investment income and coast. At this point, there are 3 good uses for your money: for fun, to invest, and to give. For fun. You can afford to have fun because it's hardly make a dent in your money position. Take that vacation, buy that expensive watch, use your money guilt-free because you've earned it. To invest. If you're just beginning, keep your investments simple and long-term with unit trusts and real estate. Get the advice of professionals you trust, but always manage your own money and make your own decisions. It's useful to have a good estate planning attorney, a CPA or a tax expert, an insurance pro, an investment pro, and a good realtor. To give. Fun investing will lose their appeal after a while on the pinnacle point. To be able to give your money away to those who need it will be the biggest reward of the entire journey. If money gives you the power to help others, what's the point of hoarding it for yourself? Conclusion. If you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. Change is hard, but don't wait until the pain of staying where you are becomes unbearable. Instead, take the 7 baby steps now and you'll be surprised as to how soon it will be before you have a total money makeover. Our thoughts. The total money makeover is for those who are more prone to overspending or those who are deathly afraid of risks. While many of the ideas that Dave Ramsey talks about will get you to live a comfortable life, We feel like it's not a life that you would have wanted as a child. That's not to say that we disagree with his advice. In fact, we agree that paying off any debt is of utmost importance. Not only would you have a lot less emotional stress on yourself, but from an investment perspective, not paying the 20% plus in interest on credit card debt is much higher return than any investment you can make. We also agree with having an emergency fund. Once again, it gives you a peace of mind to know that you're not going to be okay if something were to happen. Yes, that money won't make you money, but there's way more to life than just money. Where our deals start to go their separate ways is when it comes to step 4 to 7. We believe that they are important, but the approach would be very different. Firstly, we suggest going through a financial roadmap session to find out how much you actually need to make and invest in order to create the life you want. Once you have that information, it's a lot easier to see what needs to be done so you can prioritize the things that really matter to you. Once you have your own personalized financial roadmap, it's time to focus on building your income. We believe that you are being undervalued, that you can make a lot more money if you wanted. So we would suggest you focus on growing your skills to offer even more value, which will inevitably bring you more money. We will then look at what investments you should be making in order to help you reach the rest of your goals. So if paying for your child's education is the most important thing you do, we will make it a priority. Or if giving back is a part of you, we can make it happen right away. Action steps. Here are the 4 steps Malaysians can take now based off this book. Step 1. Stop the compulsive spending. We cannot make any steps towards your future if you are a slave to your impulses. If you cannot make the change yourself, go through AKPK, Malaysia's official program to help people get out of debt. Step 2. Use the snowball method to pay off your debt. Although Dave suggested to save $1,000 first, we believe if you really needed that money for something, you can get that money through your credit card. Otherwise, you might as well have that money pay off as much of your credit card as possible. Step 3. Build 6 months worth of expenses. Now that your debt has been paid off, it's time to make sure you never have to go into it again. Build out the 6-month reserve so you can use that money for any emergencies. Step 4. Go through a financial roadmap session. Get yourself a customized path to reach all the goals you have so that you know exactly what you will need to make and invest to get there.